highly doubt that they would support this action, because this negates, military action negates the essence, the idea of a revolution or of an uprising, because this uprising is against oppression, is against what the dictatorship, what the regime is practicing, and it's a revolution for justice and freedom and liberation. So you cannot really replace a dictatorship with bringing foreign troops to your country. So I highly doubt that the Libyans themselves would support. And also, we need to keep in mind that the Libyan revolution, on the ground, they are making significant progress. Now, we have seen today about Air Force troops that they are they're joining the uprising.
Even though this hasn't been confirmed yet.
Exactly, exactly. So I highly doubt it. I don't think they will support it, and it's really premature to talk about military action at this point.
All right, thank you very much. So more intervention from the international community could backlash, in fact. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Shaki, for your insights.
Thank you.
All right, let's turn to other news now from around the world. An Iraqi court has sentenced a former British security officer to 20 years in jail for the death of 2 contractors. Danny Fitzsimmons is the first Westerner to be convicted in an Iraqi court since the 2003 invasion. He was found guilty for shooting 2 of his colleagues in 2009. The 30-year-old said he shot the men in self-defense. Dozens of men, women and children have been fleeing Côte d'Ivoire's main city despite the presence of UN peacekeepers. There's been more fighting between forces loyal to incumbent President Laurent Gbagbo and those backing opposition leader Alassane Ouattara. The UN's Human Rights Agency says between 20 and 30,000 people have left just one district in Abidjan. At least 10 people have been killed in Sudan after clashes broke out in the disputed oil-rich region of Abyei. Abyei's chief administrator is a member of the Ndinka Ngok tribe allied to the south. He accused Arab Miseria nomads of attacking a Dinka settlement, but a Miseria spokesman accused the South Sudanese army of starting the fighting. New Zealand's Prime Minister says the country is facing a repair bill of around $15 billion after 2 recent earthquakes. Last week's quake in Christchurch killed at least 148 people. At least 50 others are still missing. Funerals are being held for some of the victims on Monday. Large parts of the city have been reduced to rubble. An earthquake in September also damaged many buildings, but no one was killed. The people of Chile have been marking the first anniversary since a massive earthquake there. A year on, thousands of families are still living in temporary shelters. President Sebastián Piñera is facing criticism for the government's response. Mark Orchard reports.
A pre-dawn vigil at the epicenter of the magnitude 8.8 earthquake. The keynote to a national day of mourning for all the victims and their families. In the coastal town of Constitución, bells tolled and the names of the dead were read out.
To be here along with all the other families is incredibly painful. Incredible, but you need to know how to stand up.
President Sebastián Piñera has been touring the disaster zone with the message that his government is sparing no expense to rebuild.
As we observe the first anniversary of the catastrophe which struck our country, the reconstruction has been solid, and we have achieved very significant progress and accomplishments.
The country's main highways are nearly back to what they were before the quake. But building new housing for the displaced has been slower. In this camp, residents who lost all their possessions are still waiting for a grant to build a new neighborhood.
We are suffering here. We don't have water for the house. The truth is that there's been a lot of shamelessness here. That's the only way to describe it.
We are all suffering from depression here. This is going nowhere.
Opposition politicians blame the lack of progress on the right-of-centre government's decision to privatise most of the construction work.
The government cannot continue to accept poor workmanship in the service of the public. The methods they have been employing in the Biobío region are absolutely outside the law and public morality.
Piñera concedes that the work is running behind schedule, but his government says it will accelerate the outsourcing of work to private companies. Mark Orchard, Al Jazeera.
Hollywood's biggest event of the year, the 83rd Academy Awards, has come to a close. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds find out who walked away with the top prizes at this year's ceremony.
And the Oscar goes to The King's Speech, Ian Canning.
The story of a stammering sovereign won Hollywood's top honor Sunday as The King's Speech scored Best Picture. Colin Firth's performance as a king tormented by a speech impediment and self-doubt earned him the Best Actor Oscar. The film world's shining stars and lesser lights strutted down the red carpet in their best tuxedos and most glamorous gowns, despite unusually chilly temperatures that set many bare shoulders shivering. This year's Best Actress award went to Natalie Portman in Black Swan for her compelling portrayal of a ballerina pushed over the edge of madness even as she achieves an artistic triumph.
This is insane, and I truly, sincerely wish that the prize tonight was to get to work with my fellow nominees. I'm so in awe of you.
A gritty boxing film scored an Oscars 1-2 punch as both Melissa Leo and Christian Bale took home Oscars for Best Supporting Actor and Actress in The Fighter. The warmest applause of the night was showered on Portman. She fell in love with the choreographer on the set of Black Swan, and they're expecting a baby boy this spring. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Hollywood.
Coming up in sport, India and England serve up a thriller in Bangalore as this year's Cricket World Cup comes alive. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Oh no! It's an astonishing moment.
We are globally yours.
Now there's one place to discover the whole story. AlJazeera.net/English.
We bring you the story from every side and every angle. AlJazeera.net/English.
Time now for sport. Here's Sana.
Thank you very much, Folly. Well, the West Indies are facing the Netherlands in the second of two Cricket World Cup group matches on Monday. Both sides looking for a win after losing their opening matches. The West Indies were put into bat and are now 164 for 1. In the early game, Zimbabwe are closing in on victory over Canada in Group A. Zimbabwe batted first and hit an impressive 298 for 9 of their 50 overs. In reply, Canada 122 for 9. India and England's cricketers played out a sensational match at the World Cup on Sunday to bring the event well and truly to life. India set England a winning total of 339 and the game went all the way to the very last ball. Andy Richardson reports.
It was the match all India seemed to have been waiting for. The co-hosts taking on England, and a feeling this tournament was now really lifting off. Indian fans hoping their side could take another step to becoming the first team to win the world title in front of home support. India batted first, and once again it was Sachin Tendulkar leading the way for his country, easing his way to a 47th one-day century. He scored 120 as India took control. MS Dhoni and Yuvraj Singh then paired up to inflict yet more damage on England's attack. England did hit back with late wickets, but India's total of 338 looked formidable. In reply, England captain Andrew Strauss looked more than up for the task. He settled in to score his first ever World Cup century. England in with a chance. Ably assisted by Ian Bell, Strauss's England were making India look old and ordinary in the field. But late wickets were then to tumble, England stumbling when in sight of victory. 14 were needed off the final over, 2 off the last ball, only 1 was scored, so the match finished in a tie. A pulsating game, finishing with points shared.
I think both the teams will be a bit disappointed, but still, they will be a bit relieved to take 1 point out of which, because I think both the team in this game, were facing defeat at a point of time.
We've got to celebrate the fact it was an unbelievable game of cricket. Probably the best advert for 50-over format you could possibly get. So, some great performances on both sides. Both sides will be partly happy, partly sad.
Right off the 50-over game at your peril. Only this format can produce the ebb and flow of momentum and tension we've seen in this match. India's bowling looked as fragile as their batting looked flawless. England will feel they should have pushed themselves over the winning line. One thing's for sure, this Cricket World Cup is well and truly alive. Andy Richardson, AlJazeera, Bengaluru.
Moving on to football, Inter are now just 2 points behind the Italian Serie A leaders and city rivals AC Milan after a 2-0 victory at Sampdoria. But fourth-place Lazio couldn't keep up with Inter as they lost a Cagliari. The only goal of the game came 5 minutes before half-time as Lazio's Andre Diaz put the ball into his own net to give Cagliari the 1-0 win. A week after throwing away a 3-goal lead, Roma conceded 2 late goals against Parma to draw 2-2 at home, with Roma 2 up with 15 minutes to go. A moment of brilliance from Parma's on-loan striker, Amore Carvalho, made it 2-1. He got his second of the game just 5 minutes late to make the final score 2-2. Now to Spain's Primera División, where Valencia remain in third spot after coming back from a goal down to win at Athletic Bilbao. Bilbao took the lead through their highly rated striker Fernando Llorente, 26-year-old, adding a few more zeros to his club's $61 million valuation of him. Valencia didn't respond until the 71st minute as Juan Mata completed a flowing move for the equalizer. And with 9 minutes to go, they had their winner, new signing Jonas, making the final score 2-1 to Valencia. For fourth place, Villarreal snatched a share of the points at Racing Santander. It didn't look good for Villarreal as Racing's Giovanni gave the home side a 2-1 lead midway through the second half. But deep into injury time, Villarreal's Brazil striker Neymar silenced the crowd as he bundled the home from a corner to make it 2-0. Villarreal remain in the 4th Champions League place. Birmingham City have won their first major trophy for 48 years. They beat favourites Arsenal 2-1 to win the English League Cup final at Wembley Stadium on Sunday. It was Birmingham who took the lead in the first half through Nikola Zigic. It was the Serb striker's 11th goal this season and arguably the most important. But Arsenal equalised just before the break through Robin van Persie. However, with extra time looming, a mix-up in the Arsenal defence allowed Obafemi Martins to pounce. Birmingham win 2-1. Arsenal now haven't won the trophy for 6 years. Only 2 matches took place in the English Premier League on Sunday. Third place Manchester City were held to a 1-1 draw at home by Fulham, while West Ham moved up to bottom with a 3-1 win over Liverpool at Upton Park. England's Luke Donald has moved up to 3rd in the world rankings after beating new world #1 Martin Kaymer of Germany in the final of the WGC Match Play Championship on Sunday. The Englishman was 3 shots up early on before Kaymer pulled it back to all square by the halfway stage. But Donald came back again to win the 11th, 12th and 15th hole to restore his 3-shot lead. The Englishman eventually completing a 3-2 victory on the 16th hole. That's it from me, Folly.
Thank you very much, Sana. Do stay with us on AlJazeera. We'll be back with more news in just a few minutes. We'll be heading back to Geneva to that meeting of the UN Human Rights Council and are expected to hear from the Tunisian Foreign Minister. Stay with us.
The first Green Building Solutions Conference and Exhibition, Doha 2011. A unique chance to explore opportunities from upcoming sustainable developments in Qatar. Come and join us.